There's major characters that don't even make it to the end credits of 7, let alone before even we get into 8.
Karl Urban just revealed something insane about episode 7 of The Boys. He said multiple major characters don't even survive to the end credits. Not the finale, episode 7. And after breaking down this trailer frame by frame, I think the show is basically telling us exactly who dies. Because this trailer doesn't feel like setup anymore. It feels like collapse. Homelander looks completely unhinged. Butcher already sounds defeated. MM looks like he's finally crossed the line. And honestly, there's one shot in this trailer that makes me think America literally falls before the finale even begins. And if that happens, the last 2 episodes aren't about saving the world. They're about surviving Homelander. So let's break this down because there are a lot of details people missed. Homelander has nobody left to control him. Let's start with the most important thing this trailer is showing us. Homelander is alone. Not emotionally alone, literally alone. Look at the Vought Tower shots. No firecracker, no Sister Sage, no Black Noir. Nobody standing beside him, nobody managing him, nobody calming him down. And that's way scarier than the V1 upgrade. Because for most of this show, Homelander always had something holding him back. Sometimes it was public image. Sometimes it was Vought. Sometimes it was the need for approval. But now, that's gone. He got the power boost from Soldier Boy. He already proved he's untouchable. And for the first time in the entire series, he genuinely doesn't care what anyone thinks anymore. And that creates the most dangerous version of Homelander we've ever seen. Not angry Homelander. Not emotional Homelander. Calm Homelander. The version that's smiling while everything burns. And there's one moment in the trailer that really proves it. That shot of him standing alone in the main vault room. He doesn't look stressed. He doesn't look paranoid. He looks comfortable, like he already won. And honestly, I think episode 7 is the episode where the show finally stops treating Homelander like a rogue suit and starts treating him like a dictator. Homelander is about to take America. Now let's talk about the Oval Office scene, because I genuinely think this is the moment everything changes. We see Homelander sitting behind the president's desk, feet up, relaxed, smiling. And the weird part is, nobody else is there. No guards, no politicians, no panic, just Homelander acting like he already owns the place. And honestly, I think he does. Throughout this season, the president has basically been a puppet. Homelander shows up whenever he wants. He gives orders. He threatens people in public. And nobody can actually stop him. But this trailer feels different. This doesn't feel like intimidation anymore. It feels final. I think the president dies at the beginning of episode 7. And not in some huge emotional scene either. I think Homelander kills him casually, like crossing the last thing off a checklist. Because once the president is gone, there's nobody left above him. No government, no military, no Vought executives, nothing. And then there's that shot. Homelander in space, looking down at Earth. That image feels way too specific to be random. The show is visually telling us something. He's beyond normal power now. He's looking at the entire planet the same way he used to look at a crowd. Small, weak, replaceable. And that's what makes episode 7 terrifying. Up until now, Homelander has been a threat to individuals. But after this episode, he becomes a threat to the entire world. And meanwhile, the boys are completely falling apart at the exact moment they need to be united. Butcher already has a plan. When Billy Butcher tells people to run, that means the situation is bad. This is the same guy who injected himself with Tempe even after finding out it was killing him. The same guy who spent 5 seasons trying to find a way to kill Homelander. But in this trailer, even Butcher sounds scared. And that line run, that doesn't sound like strategy. It sounds like someone who's seen how powerful Homelander has become and realizes normal plans won't work anymore. But here's the important part. Butcher never gives up without already thinking 3 steps ahead. And the trailer quietly hints at that. There's a moment where he tells the team he's gonna drag their carcasses over the finish line. That's not a man surrendering. That's a man preparing for one final move. And I think we already know what that move is. Enriched uranium. The Soldier Boy experiment files already confirmed it can damage V-enhanced tissue. And Butcher knows that. He's probably the only person in this universe desperate enough to actually try weaponizing it against Homelander. Because at this point, what other option even exists? Bullets don't work. Soups barely slow him down. And now he's even stronger after the V1 upgrade. So while Huey looks exhausted, while is losing control, while everyone else is starting to believe this is unwinnable, Butcher is still moving, still planning. And honestly, that might be the scariest thing in the trailer. Because whenever Butcher gets quiet, someone usually dies. This episode title feels like a goodbye. The title of episode 7 is The Frenchman, the Female, and the Man Called Mother's Milk. And that doesn't sound random at all. It sounds personal. Almost like the show is slowing down for one last look at these characters before everything falls apart. Especially after Karl Urban said multiple major characters don't make it to the end credits. Because once you combine that quote with this trailer, the warning signs are everywhere. Take Frenchie and Kimiko. All season long, the show keeps bringing up the same problem. They love each other, but they don't really know how to exist together anymore. And the trailer makes their scenes feel way more emotional than usual. Not hopeful, not romantic, final, like they already know something bad is coming. And TV writers love doing this right before killing someone. They give the audience emotional closure first. Then they rip it away. And then there's Honestly, I think he's the biggest red flag in the entire trailer. Because has always been the moral center of the boys. He was the guy trying to stop everyone else from becoming monsters. But last episode, the legend basically told him he's turning into Butcher. And you can see how much that messed him up. Now look at the fight scenes in this trailer. Looks brutal, angry, completely different. There's one shot where bodies are literally dropping around him, and he doesn't even hesitate. And that's important, because once crosses that line mentally, there's no version of him left to protect. And that makes me think episode 7 isn't just setting up deaths. It's setting up transformations. The kind characters don't come back from. The Deep is finally losing the only thing he had. Now let's talk about the weirdest part of this trailer. The Deep, because somehow, it looks like he's drowning. And that shouldn't even be possible. This is a guy who can breathe underwater. A guy who's completely at home in the ocean. So if the show is visually connecting the Deep with drowning, that means something is very wrong. And honestly, I think it's symbolic. Because all season long, the Deep has been betraying the only thing that ever actually accepted him. The sea life. He lied about the pipeline. He ignored the damage being done to the ocean. And every time he had to choose between power and morality, he chose Homelander. Again, and again, and again. So now the trailer feels like the universe finally catching up to him. His relationship with the ocean was always the one thing that made him different from the other soups. It was the only place where he actually felt important. And now even that is turning against him. Maybe the sharks attack him. Maybe it's something else. But I don't think this death is gonna be heroic. I think it's gonna be pathetic. Which honestly fits the Deep perfectly. But weirdly, also tragic. Because underneath all the jokes and stupidity, the Deep has always been one of the loneliest characters in the show. And episode 7 might finally punish him for every terrible choice he kept making. Sage breaks, and Moreau arrives. There are two really important shots near the end of this trailer that people are not talking about enough. First, Sister Sage. We literally see her putting something into her eye. And I don't think that scene is random at all. I think she's trying to shut her own brain off. Which is honestly insane when you think about who she is. This is supposed to be the smartest person on Earth. The one character who always sees 10 moves ahead. But for the first time all season, she failed. She didn't predict the V1 upgrade. She didn't control Homelander. And now everything is collapsing around her. So, this doesn't feel like a villain moment. It feels like burnout. Like her own intelligence has become torture. And honestly, that makes her way more interesting. Because underneath all the manipulation, Sage might be the first character realizing the situation is genuinely out of control. And then finally, Moreau, the Gen V crossover everybody's been waiting for. And if you've watched Gen V, you already know how dangerous she is. Her blood manipulation powers are terrifying. She can take down multiple soups at once. She can literally weaponize the human body. But here's the important thing. I don't think Marie is showing up to defeat Homelander. I think she's showing up to buy time. To clear the other soups. To create an opening. Because right now, nobody in this universe actually looks strong enough to beat Homelander head-on anymore. Not even close. So if Butcher really is planning some last desperate uranium attack, Moreau might be the person who gives them the few seconds they need to actually reach him. And considering how brutal this show gets, that also makes her a huge death flag. So after breaking this trailer down frame by frame, I genuinely think episode 7 is where everything finally collapses. Homelander probably kills the president and fully takes control. Butcher is preparing one last suicidal plan. MM looks like he's crossed the line he spent 5 seasons trying to avoid. Frenchie and Kimiko feel less like setup for a happy ending, and more like a goodbye. The Deep is losing the only thing that ever accepted him. And Moreau might be walking directly into a massacre. And the scary part, this still isn't the finale. There's another episode after this, which means episode 7 probably ends with the world in the worst state we've ever seen in The Boys. And honestly, I think Karl Urban was warning us. Multiple major characters are not surviving this episode. So now, I want to know your prediction. Who do you think dies before the end credits roll? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe, because the second episode 7 drops, I'm posting a full reaction and ending analysis. I'll see you guys then.